Okay, everybody. The following of what you're about to see is an episode that I recently recorded with a person that could be considered to have potentially some mental instability. Okay? The reason that this has been done is because, I don't have, the podcast doesn't have that much of a purpose. The purpose is to bring laughter and love. Okay? And but the Charlie Kirk assassination has given me a recent newfounded sense of purpose. And I feel as though I was gifted by the algorithm, this person that came across my socials. And what you're about to see in this video is an interesting look into the mind of a person who lives in the depths of despair. They revel in hatred. They revel in other people's sadness. Watch this episode. I'm not going to make this a long intro. I just wanted to do a quick little interlude here to give you a warning about what you're about to see. This person is espousing wild, hateful rhetoric. And it will be a very interesting watch, in my opinion. I've really enjoyed reviewing it and watching it. I enjoyed participating in it. And I enjoyed showing a lot of what I believe my messages are with my style of what I do with long-form conversation. I expose this person in a long-form conversation. I expose their hypocrisy. I expose their refusal to participate in a productive conversation without calling people names and getting wild. So please watch this episode. Check that out. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page or whatever medium you're watching this in or listening to it. And I guess man, I'm still a little bit of at loss for words. This was not long ago that I recorded this, but you will see a lot of interesting things. You will see a person who's defending, mocking the widow of somebody who was assassinated. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, because we discussed it in the podcast quite a bit, I'll just attach the clip now. And so watch that clip, and then enjoy the podcast. Watch this quick clip of essentially, you'll have to see her whole page if you want to see all the crazy, hateful videos that she makes and stuff. This is not comedy, what she does. It's something different. And we will get into that potentially in my next solo episode. I'll talk a lot more about this. But this is just meant to be an intro to warn you about the episode you're about to see. I hope that it's watchable. I hope that it doesn't hurt your brain to have to listen to this woman speak in circles. And I try my best to not let her constantly speak in circles about nonsense, okay? But there's only so much I can do because I need the episode to be watchable. And if she doesn't let me talk. And I try to do my best. And eventually the episode goes quite off the rails. So enjoy that. Check out this clip that is her mocking video of the wife. And enjoy the episode. And sorry. I hope you like it. I hope you think that I stood up to this person enough. I shamed them for their expression of free speech, if you will. We try to talk details about how what she's doing is far from that. It's far from expressing free speech. But, what I came to realize with the episode is that extremists exist, and they'll only justify their behavior with referencing behavior of other extremists. And you'll see that directly in the episode. So, okay. Enjoy. This is Canadian Talk, guys. There, check it out.
He was my husband, and I loved him, and he loved me almost as much as he loved America. And I want to thank all of the brave, heroic first responders who responded heroically. These evildoers have no idea what they've done. They have unleashed a battle cry. This widow The tears of this widow are a battle cry across the whole world and this country. And we will convert everyone to Jesus through thinly veiled threats and possibly violence and threats of violence. My husband, he loved this office. He was in here every day. He loved what he did. He loved it. He loved chair. He loved chair. He loved chair. And he loved lamp. And he loved lamp. And I want to thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you, Mr. President. Charlie loved you. He loved you. And I know that you loved him. You guys had an incredible friendship. Incredible. And I want to let everyone out there know that I will continue my husband's legacy. I will continue the legacy of hatred and bigotry that he started. And if you could please support us in this time of need and donate to us today, please join and donate to me today and the whole TP family. Please donate all you can. My husband is better off. He's with Jesus. And he died doing what he loved, defending guns. Amen.
Sorry, it's just now you can see my fucking shiny forehead, so we'll just like fix that.
No worries. You having a good day? How's your day going?
Good, yeah, really good. Went to a community action this morning that I try and show up at every week, just because it's like a weekly thing.
Cool.
And I just like to be involved in the activist community here in town.
Cool.
Kind of
Do you have any questions before we start?
Is there anything that I should know about what we're going to be talking about? Like, I know you do comedy, so
Yep.
Anything that you think I should know before, or should I just go into this like a virgin?
It's up to you. What I'll tell you is that there's no format to the show. We just talk, and it's mostly to talk about you. You're a political activist, so it is likely we'll talk more about politics today.
Sure.
My goal is to keep it civil and have us, find common ground. My goal is not to have a screaming match. Like, I'm not Pierce Morgan or anything.
Yeah.
So stuff.
Do I need to? How can you hear me? I worry about like the sound.
No, your audio is relatively okay. It's not. It won't be as loud as mine, but I can hear you just fine. It'll work just fine for everything.
Like with me using my phone, it's like it's hard because I need to have my phone plugged in so that we don't get disconnected.
Yep.
It's fine. We'll just deal with it.
Fair enough. Yeah, like it's a little echoey, but it seems like your room is just fine. And okay. Good. Seems like we're ready then. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay. So what I will say though is just, if you don't mind, before I start. So at the beginning, I'm going to talk for a little bit to kind of set the stage for this one. Mm-hmm. So just let me do that. And then we try not to interrupt too much, especially because it's video call. And so the talking over can be a problem.
That reminds me that I'm going to turn on my do not disturb, because I don't want another call coming in. That would be a mistake.
That'd be okay. I can edit. I edit things out, so don't worry. Nothing can derail this. We're totally fine. Okay, so here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Canadian Talk. This is episode 131. Today we have a guest, and I will try to do my best to describe her. I feel as though this will be a different kind of an episode from what I've typically had. For my viewers out there, you know that I like to keep it light. I don't really get too aggressive on any type of guests I've had. The only real crazy political debates I've had were in recent episodes with Heather and some of the liberal people I've had on recently. So today I thought we'd bring on another one that's an open political activist. Chelsea Gods is her name. So welcome to the show. Thank you for the show.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'm a little bit nervous about this one today because I believe that people like yourself, if you're serious about it, and people like myself, although I consider myself just a centrist,
Sure.
but you scare me quite a bit. Just like, so, I would hope to think that you might be scared of somebody on the far right, because
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I don't know why you're scared of me. I don't think that I believe in scary things.
Okay, just a second. Just let me finish the intro here. Just a second. So, yeah, you have an Instagram, you have a website, you're a comedian, you're a political activist, and one point of common ground that we have that I want to say just before we start and we get into things is I believe that you are courageous, and whether it be for coming on a show like this today, whether it be for being a comedian and a political activist, so really standing behind the things you believe in, going out there and doing it. I believe that that's courageous, so I admire you for that, and because I believe that a lot of what we see in modern day is a lot of people moving away from having these types of discussions, or losing the idea of the productivity of what we're doing here with the two sides discussing. What we're doing here today is primarily a lot of the stuff that Charlie Kirk stood behind. So that's why I mostly want to talk to you specifically today, because once those conversations stop, it could get worse in the world, And I listen. And by the way, this conversation, I want us to get to the fun, and I want us to be friends. But what things like this are as a test for me, because I've only done this 130 times, but like
131.
131. But I want to see if what's going on here. I want to learn more about you. I want to learn about what you believe that you're doing, what you believe you're trying to achieve, things along those lines. So thank you for letting me spiel. That's kind of how I'm feeling about today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a podcast. This is Canadian Talk, and so why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself before we start?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm a political activist and comedian and political commentator online. That's what I do. And I think it's funny. I have to be honest, like I'm laughing at you thinking I'm scary. I always think this is like such a funny line to be like, I'm scared of people on the far left. Yeah, well, the scary thing that I believe in is that Americans should have universal health care. I don't find that to be a scary belief system. I think that people having to work two jobs to make ends meet in the richest country in the world is disturbing. I think that's disturbing. That's the kind of thing I believe in. I always think it's funny when people try and compare the far left to the far right, because what does the far right believe in? What does the far right, like, what is their ideology? Their ideology is hating trans people and making sure that trans people don't exist or they can't access their care. You can shake your head on that, but we see the bills coming up that there was one single student in the state of Utah who was a trans athlete, and the government felt like it was such an important thing that they made a rule against a single student. Well, that's not going to bring the cost of groceries down. That's not going to bring the cost of housing down. Mm-hmm. That doesn't change anybody's life. The only person whose life was affected by that was a single student in the entire state of 3 million people of Utah. And
let's put a pin in that real quick, and just keep remember your trajectory if you like, but let's just put a pin in and talk more about the hating trans thing. Okay. So the first claim was something along the lines of what's the right wing's ideology, and I can't claim to fully.
What is the far right's ultimate goal in life?
Yes, for sure, and I can't claim to fully be able to outline that for you, but we can go through it as far as I can, point by point, more or less. And then, so my first point would be is on the hating trans thing. So a person on the right might say to you there, where you go, oh, they hate trans people, and they're trying to take their rights away. the right might say back to you, they might say, no, they don't hate them. They love them more than you love them because they believe in their method of helping a person with what they believe to have a disease, gender dysphoria, say, for example. And really, it's two different ways of trying to love people who need help. Politics, much like religion, these are these institutions that are there to try to keep us all from killing each other. The goal is not to separate us. The goal is to try to bring us all together, allow us to talk and realize how we're all alike rather than how we're all different. And not
I would
through
argue
violence.
that religion does a really good job of making other people want to kill each other, because religion has been used as the justification for killing people since time began. Whether it's the Crusades or whether it's the genocide in Gaza, religion is being used as the justification for those sort of things. And so I would argue that religion actually drives people apart.
Okay.
I grew up in an organized religion. I want to throw that out there. I was very religious until I was 18 years old, when I'm no longer religious at all. And I would argue that religion is used as a tool for control and also to create divisiveness. And I don't see it as being a thing that brings people together. I actually see it as a thing that is often used to make people hate each other. And especially as a person who gets told all the time that I'm evil, I would argue that that's, their religious background is making them not see me as a human being and dehumanize me. So that's sort of my take on religion.
Fair enough. Let me just jump back. I got that on my list now, so we can come back to religion.
But we can talk about trans people. And here's the deal.
Okay.
Is the right-wing ideology of trans people is not based in science. It's not based in psychology. It's not based in the study of human behaviors. It's not based in that. It's based in fear. And they are making policies without regards to experts and professionals. And that's where we really need to talk about this sort of thing, is that the people who should be talking about this are not politicians, are not lay people. It's not even me and you. The people who should be talking about this are social workers who, deal in this realm, and psychologists who deal in this realm. And the reality is I will not call being trans a mental disorder in any way, shape, or form, because trans people exist everywhere on the planet. No matter how you feel about them, they exist in Iran. They exist in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They exist in cultures that are not Western cultures. And the fact that this is something that is so common worldwide shows you that it's just a natural state of human being. The weird part about being human is that we want to be able to make things black and white, put things in a box, because that's easier. It's so much easier when we can define things in binary terms. It's so much easier when there's like a yes or a no. But the reality is that humans are complicated creatures, and that we, fulfill a myriad of things. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, as I was giving an example, the Samoan culture has trans people called the Fa'afeine, and they existed before contact with Western culture. If being trans was not a real thing, why does it exist everywhere? Why is it in Thailand? Why is it in Iran? Why is it in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? Why is it everywhere? And again, I think the way that we're approaching this is like a very Western Christian background to how we see humans. And humans just aren't binary. We're complicated. We're complex.
Yeah, but that is why we should... Let me just jump in right there. Yes, we are complicated. We are complex. But that is why we need to try to control some of the variables, because it sounded a lot like your
that's where I disagree. That's
but it sounded like a lot of your arguments there were like, why does it exist? If it exists, so that therefore it must be good. And the argument, a person could go, oh, well, cancer exists. That's horrible, but it exists.
I just think you compared trans people to cancer, and I think that that's like extremely harmful. So I would like to call you out on that kind of rhetoric, because a bunch of dividing cells in a body overtaking an organism is not really the same thing as a human being who just wants to be treated like a person.
Well, but it results in
that's such negative language
that
I hope you can check yourself and understand that you dehumanize an entire group of people as a cancer. And I will call you out on that behavior.
We're working our way towards truth here, though. And the reality is that
the truth is that you don't like that the world isn't black and white.
We have to take turns talking, or this is all going to break down. Okay, I just need to come on. Let me talk now. Okay. What the belief is that trans people eventually castrate themselves. Like, and that is something that we ought to try to stop, just like we ought to try to stop cancer. That's the logic. That's the pure logic. Trans people are like, what are they? 1% of the population?
Yeah.
And if you look at a hierarchy that has 100 people, you're going to have one person at the bottom who's like, I can't find love anywhere. And humans need love. So the trans ideology arises, I need to find somebody to be a partner with here. I need a partner in life. We all need partners in life, and we all need love. But that doesn't mean that people who are looking for love on the bottom of the hierarchical scale can't try to not castrate themselves. That's what the right is trying to fight for. And they're not saying that, hey, we hate these people. That's not what they're after. They're just trying to help them, and
First, I would like to say the idea that trans people exist because they're looking for somebody to love them is seriously flawed. Not based in reality, not based in fact, not based in any study whatsoever, because not every person is looking for a partner in life in order to complete themselves. That right there is already, a false premise.
Okay.
Second, what do you care what somebody does with their own body, and why does it affect your life so much? If this is what is going to make them happy, this is who they are.
As a society,
then why do you care?
If you believe in us all being one, like left-wing people are very collectivist. If you believe in that, we should look out for our fellow man. And I don't want people castrating or killing themselves. That would be why I would care. That's why the right cares.
I just don't think it's any of your business. I don't care if somebody goes and gets their dick pierced. So what do I care what somebody does with themselves? What their truth is. The reality is, no, I'm sorry. You already told me that I was not supposed to talk over you, and I would like to invite you to do the same.
Your question was why? You just asked me a question, and I answered it. You answering questions as they're asked is not interrupting.
I think you're too up in other people's business, and I feel like really grateful to be the person to tell you that it would be so awesome if you could learn to just leave other people the fuck alone.
No,
can you just leave other people
not if
the
they're
fuck
going to
alone?
commit suicide.
They don't care what you do in the bedroom. They don't care if you dress up in a maid costume and ask somebody to call you daddy. They don't care. Just leave them alone. Their life existing does not affect you. And guess what? You don't need to know what hole somebody pees from for you to treat them like a human being. If the only way you can decide to treat other people like a human is if you know what hole they take a piss from, well, then the problem is on your shoulders. Okay. The problem is your inability to treat other people with kindness and acceptance and dignity.
Okay.
That's the reality.
All right. My turn.
Okay. Is to leave other people the fuck alone. You should try it sometime.
Okay. My turn now. So you believe that that's bad. So what I'm doing by saying, okay, we should help them. So that's fair. That's fine. And you just put your case forward and, you called me all the names and stuff. So now just let me put my case forward. I believe it's bad because when I said I agree with you, it's because I do. If you want there to be less trans people, you kind of would leave them alone. Because ultimately, when a person becomes trans, their rate of suicide doubles and they castrate themselves. So the plan would be to leave them alone. I have a different plan. I believe compassion leads me to helping them, not to letting them kill themselves. So I'm not going to do what you do where you go to me and go, now, because you believe that, I think you should be like, oh, I think that's bad of you. I'm not going to do that to you like you do it to me. But in a sense, you don't even realize that that's what you're doing, is you're letting a disease flourish. Like, and you say I get mad by
again, I cannot say this enough to you that you are not even basing this in facts and reality. You have no experience talking to people who work with trans people. You have never talked to
this podcast. I have more experience talking to people than you.
You have no idea about any of this.
50% of the last mass shootings were done by trans people.
Because you're so concerned about 1% of the population.
And here's the deal. All of
your guys' ideology is literally based on rhetoric and is based on these ideas that you have about how it should be. And you haven't consulted any experts at all. You haven't talked to anyone.
I'm the only one who's referenced a statistic here. What are you talking about?
You don't even know how to treat them like a human.
How do you
I think it's weird, the obsession that people who are conservative have with trans people, because it is 1% of the population, and you can't just leave them the fuck alone. And psychologists already know what the best treatment for people who are trans are, and that is gender affirming care. And you are going in the face of all of the experts because of what you think, as opposed to what the reality is.
You need to move towards the truth to try to protect people, because if a 1% of the population is shooting up all of our schools, We need to stop that.
Great. The
1%
1% of the population shooting up all of the schools is right-wing activists. The number one terrorist group in the United States for the last 100 whatever years that records have been keeping have always been white supremacists. You guys don't want to talk about the mass shootings perpetuated by white supremacists because it doesn't suit your ideology. It doesn't suit your ideology of hatred. And if you want to know like why I'm so direct in my rebuke of you, it is because you are dehumanizing people in a very strange way. The one thing I have a really hard time with conservative people, and you can just understand this in my conversation, is that a lot of conservative ideology is based in your hatred of others. It is based in your hatred of immigrants. It is based in your hatred of trans people. And I don't want to hear you
You're
try and
overusing
phrase
the
it
term
as love.
hateful.
I
You're
don't
not
want to hear
using
you
the
try and
term
phrase it as
hatred
love
right.
because you compared trans people to being diseased and having a cancer, and there's nothing about that language that indicates any love or acceptance or kindness or humanity to me.
Right now,
So,
okay,
I mean, I can
have a
accept you
turn.
guys being
Let me have
Christian.
a
I
turn.
can drive by churches every single day of my life. I can watch people on the street corner peddle their
You gotta let
Bibles.
me have a turn to talk.
Like live with people like that. Why can't you just live with people who are trans?
You're
If I can
you're
live
just
with
talking in
people who are different
circles,
than me, why
Chelsea.
can't you?
You're talking in circles. Let me have a turn to talk.
That's not a talking in circle. That's
Yes.
not talking in
The
circles.
only thing that anybody who's watching this right now would be thinking is Chelsea is not letting anyone else
Sorry, you
talk.
just wrote a fan fiction
We're
about
trying
what
to
you
have a
think people are
discussion.
going to be
Okay,
thinking.
okay, I'll just restart. The only thing that anybody watching this right now would be thinking is Chelsea isn't letting him talk. We're here to have a discussion, and all she's doing is firing off insults to somebody just trying to talk to her. You realize
I
that
don't
the
think I'm
problem with
insulting
this
you. I think
discourse.
that I'm indicating your
Okay,
behavior.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not insulting you, and I'm not talking in
Yes,
circles.
you
I'm listening
are.
to a man who dehumanized an entire group of people
I did not do that.
with no study behind it whatsoever
That's
outside
incorrect.
of rhetoric.
There is plenty of studies that show that gender dysphoria is real and that their suicide rates double. I am basing only what I'm saying in science. What do you have a degree in? Do you have a degree from a university?
Let me ask a question. Do you think the reason why suicide rates of trans people are so high is because people like you claiming that they are diseased? Do you think that the rhetoric surrounding their existence right now in popular media is helpful or hurtful to them as human beings? Do you think having entire laws created about your body is going to have a negative effect or a positive effect? Let me know how you feel about that, because the reality is the reason why trans people experience suicide at a higher rate is because of their lack.
You're asking the questions and then answering them. Like you're not okay. You asked me several questions, so let me just address them. Okay. You can't. Okay, you asked me these trans people when they're getting told that you have a disease and it's gonna lead to suicide or castration of yourself. You're saying that that's hateful to tell them that, and that's what's causing them to do mass shootings at schools or whatever. But the reality is, and it goes back to what I said before. You're not letting me finish, Chelsea.
Firefighters, did you? Oh, you didn't?
Listen. Every time, okay, you got to let me finish. So the end of what I was saying there, the point I was going to make was that I'm going to have to restart from the beginning again because you're just making me forget it. Because you're just talking over me right when I try to finish.
Did you just blame somebody else for your lack of ability of maintaining a train of thought? You should learn to accept personal responsibility for yourself.
Okay. So it goes back to what I said before. I remembered my train of thought that when a person can't find a partner or they can't find love because they're being too obscure in this way or the other, that is what causes people to be so stressed that they kill themselves. When a human can't find connection and love, that's what makes them suicidal. It's not somebody telling them, "Hey, you're weird." It's them not being able to find somebody who won't tell them that. And when everybody's telling you that and you're refusing to listen, it will be tougher to find partners. We all need connection at the end of the day. And differentiating ourselves to that extent can sometimes cause issue with that. That's the togetherness that, let's say, something like theology would create. And if I could just jump into one point before we get into some more kind of contemporary stuff here going on with us specifically, I'll just end the macro topics quickly here with this. Is, with the left and the right, there's a divide right now between what theology is pushing for, hey, this is the kind of the best way for us to come together, and what the academic institutions and universities are pushing. The arguments towards each believing that they need to be dismantled are both equal and fair, you know, because you can't be afraid to hear what the person on the other side has to say. And that seems to be what happens a lot of times in these debates. That's why you're talking over me and not letting me even say what I have to say. It's a fear. It's a fear that drives it. Don't you think?
I'm not afraid of your opinions. I think that is just like hilarious. I think that's a hilarious premise. Like, I want to throw that out there. I'm not afraid of your opinions. I am telling you that your opinions aren't based in reality, science, or study. Like, that's not the same thing as being
But
afraid.
they are. They are.
They're not. They're not. They're legitimately not. They're not, because psychologists know the way to treat trans people is through gender affirming care. And people who work with trans people are aware that this is what it should be. You have this idea that it's not. I mean, obviously, we're going to move on from the topic of trans people, but I want to let you know that even the whole premise that humans have this whole thing of like seeking love, there are some humans who don't. Again, the world is so much more complicated, and people are so much more complicated than the way you are trying to distill it down to. And the best thing to do in this case is listen to experts and then just learn to leave other people the fuck alone and stop making it your personality so much on the right that you just have to obsess over trans people. They just want to be treated like humans regardless of what hole they pee from.
Fair enough. And remember, I'm not on the right. I'm in the center. That's why
I would argue that you're not in the center. I think that's funny.
You don't know anything about me. We've only talked about one topic, and I'm the one putting forward information from both sides and looking for solutions, whereas you're just whipping around insults. You have to realize that's two very different things.
I think that's actually really funny, because I've never once said an insult to you as a person. I've never been like, oh, I think you're stupid, I think you're awful. I never said that. You're literally creating that narrative.
It's on video. I don't know what to tell
I know
you.
It's on video. Me being direct and pointed is not the same thing as me calling you names.
Hey, and that's why the internet decides, right? That's what we're doing here.
Sure,
I believe that people like you and me, we need each other. I believe that we look for each other. You have to understand that. I believe it's amazing that what the internet can do too, because I feel that the internet it brings me people like you, but you're one of the most extreme that I've met. But it's important because I believe that you're reaching for answers. You want to help people too. You want good too, just like I do. Yeah. And we're reaching for answers. So we look for people on the extremes on the other side to be like, what are you saying? Let me hear it. And then let's debate it.
This is an interesting question, like, in order to segue into something else. So what ideologies of mine do you find particularly extreme? Like, I think this is an interesting topic of conversation, because I think that I don't consider myself an extremist in the things that I believe, but I'm interested in what you perceive as being particularly extreme.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I believe those are is, let's start here. Okay. We have differences on, like, you believe that it's okay to call people in the modern West, whether it be Trump or other leaders in the Western government, fascists. And this can be the problem, because I know that you're reaching to somebody like me for answers, just like I'm reaching to somebody like you for answers, so we can debate them.
Yeah.
But when you say that like somebody like Donald Trump is a fascist, I believe that we're having a dissonance there, whether it be in the understanding of a concept like fascist or otherwise, because a fascist kills people, they suppress free speech, all that type of a thing, and to serious extents. And that's not necessarily what's happening in the West right now. But yet you fire around terms like racist or hate or fascist like they're going out of style. And those are terms that you shouldn't be throwing around unless you really think that they deserve to be said. And that's not the case.
Well, I said it because I meant it. So if it makes you feel any better, I meant it. And there is a sign. I pulled this up on my desktop because I wanted to talk about this. There's a sign about the early warning signs of fascism. Like, please be aware that fascism is not like, oh, it's here, I guess everything is totally fascist. Like, if you think that Nazi Germany became fascist overnight and it's just like, oh, there it is, well, that just means that you're not a good study of history. So I want to pull up this image. This is like a very specific image. It's located in the Holocaust Museum. And it is a sign talking about the early warning signs of fascism. So you can tell me if you think that Trump administration suits any of these things. Powerful and continuing nationalism. The second one is a disdain for human rights, which, P.S., by the way, the Nazis in Nazi Germany focused on trans people and queer people. Okay. So do you understand that when I talk about the language surrounding trans people, that I am talking about this in a historic way, and why this relates to fascism?
Okay, pause. Let me address the first 2 points. Pause. Let me address the first 2 points. Pause. Let me address the first 2 points. So you're the first 2 points.
Powerful and continuing nationalism.
Yeah, so yes. So nationalism is totally fine. I think it's a good thing for a country. Powerful. Have you seen how the West functions? To say that a certain political party in power like Donald Trump is powerful is insane. In the West, we open our politicians up to complete and total criticism at all times. They don't have power over anything. The public has the power. So that's wrong. And the second one was a disdain for human rights. Do you see? You are a woman. You have so much rights. How
yeah, I do. I have a lot of rights. And then every day people on the right come into my comments and tell me that the 19th Amendment should be repealed. I love it. It's so fun. And that's not even an uncommon battle cry for far-right nationalists in the United States of America. And by the way, nationalism is always bad. Don't ever mix up what nationalism versus patriotism is, because nationalism is bad. Let's go down to the third one. Identifying of enemies as a unifying cause. Hi. It's me. I've been identified as your enemy for a unifying cause. The liberals, those leftists, those Antifa, the fascists.
No, but you're not the enemy. It's okay. The purpose. So you're misunderstanding.
You know what? You say that, but JD Vance gets up this week and calls me the enemy, and Erica Kirk gets up and calls me the enemy. And Donald Trump gets up and calls me the enemy, and they're labeling leftist organizations as being terrorist organizations. Do you know even the KKK is not labeled a terrorist organization in the United States, but the mythical Antifa is? The mythical Antifa is a terrorist organization, and the KKK is not. So identifying enemies as a cause, supremacy of the military, rampant sexism.
Let's just jump back to that. Let's just jump back to that third point.
Obsession with national security. Does that ring true with all of those?
We got to go through it productive. We got to go through
messages?
it.
Religion and government intertwined. And if you watch Trump pray in the office while they're all speaking in tongues, then you know that that's absolutely true. Corporate power is being protected, absolutely, including buying percentages of American companies and forcing companies like Intel to give 10% of the company to the United States government. Labor power is suppressed, absolutely. Disdain for intellectuals and the arts. Absolutely.
No.
Disdain for intellectuals and the arts. Oh, humanities. You studied the humanities. You know exactly what I'm talking
about. That's not disdain.
Obsession with crime and punishment. Absolutely. Obsession with crime and punishment. Rampant cronyism and corruption and fraudulent elections. If you can't see America in this sign located in the Holocaust Museum, that's just denialism. That's just you being in denial.
Okay, so we're on the third point. So let's jump back to point 3.
Identification of enemies as a unifying cause.
Yes. Okay. How do you see democracy in the West as that? Because all I'm seeing is kind of an extremism. So you have to realize, like, you might be in a bit of an echo chamber where you feel like the debates are so extreme right now, but they're not. Like, we have debates. Everything is even in the West. It's not what you're saying where there's enemies on this side or the other. The only thing that creates that is shooting people that are out there trying to do free debate, like what happened to Charlie Kirk.
I would like to point out that I have already publicly said that Charlie Kirk's death was awful. I'm against gun violence entirely. I'm against gun violence. I see it as a huge problem in the United States of America.
But you're for making fun of widows with mocking videos.
Yeah, and I did, and I'd do it again, and I'd make fun of her again because she's a grifter.
Why double
and I would make fun
down
of a person who's worth millions and millions of dollars who is faking her emotions for the rest of the world. I did it, and I'd do it again because that's what free speech should be about. I don't care that it offended you. I know that it offended some people, but for those of us who are sane human beings who recognize the signs of a sociopath who lacks real human feeling, well, there you go. You know. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I am telling you the speeches that our government is giving. You're like, that's not what democracy is like. And it's like having a conversation with someone who isn't willing to see the truth. The reality is that entire list that I gave you from the Holocaust Museum clearly outlines what's happening in the United States. And people who are professors of history are saying, hey, by the way, we're in fascism. And people in other countries are also saying the United States is in fascism. I think it's funny to run into you who you think you're a centrist, but you really come across as a maple MAGA, which is funny. And it's just like you're ignoring reality in order to continue existing in, your current mindset. And whatever, like, I'm never going to change your mind. At this point, if you still support Donald Trump in 2025, I am aware of the fact that your mind is never going to be changed. Like, you're in a cult, you lack critical skills, you don't have the ability of thinking outside yourself, and you're not listening to what people are telling you. You're not listening to experts. You're not listening to what anyone else is saying anywhere else. And there's no point. Like, I think you should know that one of the reasons why I often avoid having conversations with MAGA is because I find them to be fruitless. I'm telling you the stuff that on this sign from the Holocaust Museum, people who are experts are telling you that we're entering fascism, and you're like, nuh-uh. No,
well, you're trying to be persuasive without allowing anybody else to talk. And I don't know if that's you're not trusting that you can participate in the conversation or what the fear is here, but you're not letting me talk. You're just ranting because you told me just a moment ago, you told me what the reality is. And then you listed a bunch of things of these experts saying stuff, but you're not letting me debate any of the things you're saying. You're not. That's the only reality happening right now, is the clear situation that you're not allowing discourse to happen.
I mean, what is the discourse going to be? You're just going to say, nuh-uh.
Let it happen, and then you will know.
Lies from the
Don't be
mainstream
so
media,
afraid.
fake news. What's the discourse? I'm trying to have a conversation with you based in reality, and you're like, nuh-uh.
If you want to know the discourse, then let's have it. And you got to take we got to take turns and talk about it. Okay? Don't ask me what the discourse would be. Let it happen, and then we'll talk about it. Okay? Okay? All right. Okay. So you're just clearly just going to be dissident now. Gotcha. Okay. So what we were talking about was being a comedian.
Hey,
let me say my thing. I'm going to say.
Because my followers are
Come
going
on.
to think it's hilarious. And so I'm actually pretty excited.
For sure. Okay. So this is what we were talking about to bring us back to reality here. You were just saying that what you're after. We're trying to figure out what you're after, what you're trying to do. So, and you're a comedian. So let's talk about what it means to be a comedian, right? When you put things out, whether I do or you do, whether they're right wing or left wing, when we put things out as comedians, we are supposed to be cooperating with the media. We are supposed to put things out, see how the public reacts. We're supposed to try to move things in the direction that we want to be the situation. That's what we do as comedians. So when we release stuff that gets, whether it be myself or you, that gets extreme amounts of negativity, you have to recognize when you're creating your own enemies. So when you put stuff out mocking grieving widows, and then you get a bunch of people that are mad at you, you have to realize that that's not their fault. You are a comedian. You are supposed to, yes, have complete free speech, but you're also supposed to listen to the principles of that media coming back at you. And when the media attacks you and says, hey, these are in poor taste. You've just mocked a widow who came out and talked for the first time after her husband was killed publicly. Don't you think?
Yeah, make sure to donate her money. She doesn't have enough money. She needs you to buy some merch. Can you buy some merch? Can you buy some funeral merch? Go ahead and support her financially. You're right. I'm totally on the side of Erica Kirk because I do see her husband's death as a money-making opportunity. In fact, so much so that we need to be rebranding so that all of the merch can have new logos on it. So please, by all means, every person listening to this, if you're poor, I need you to go give your money to the wealthy. She doesn't have enough money. She needs your money. So please go donate, support her all you can. She needs more money.
Okay, I've got a question. So in particular, let's just talk about the video in question here.
Yeah.
Or like, let's say kind of the issue right now, a bunch of people are getting upset about, oh, hey, these people on the left are making videos, like making fun of Kirk or whatever, or there's like a t-shirt,
Sure.
there's like a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So if we were to talk about that and the establishment, the people in comedy and in people who watch comedy are like, dang, that's something. What would be the equivalent? Give me some examples of like what the right has done in comedy that would be equivalent to mocking the Charlie Kirk death or championing it. I want to hear some
I
examples.
wouldn't say I would champion Charlie Kirk's death. I have gone on the record multiple times, and I went on the record here saying that I thought his death was awful and that I'm against gun violence. So
No, but you do the
I think
opposite.
that's like a huge
You
misnomer,
do
is
the
that you
opposite.
are branding me as a person who wanted him to die,
I've
and that is
barely talked.
absolutely
I
not
haven't
true.
branded you as anything. I've barely talked.
I mean, that's not true either. You have talked. And here's the deal. I made fun of Erica Kirk because I can see, I'm so tired of having to pretend that phonies are people who I'm supposed to venerate and honor. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of pretending that Donald Trump's not a psychopath. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of pretending that Stephen Miller's not a fucking
Do you potentially see how it's not correct to call Erica Kirk a phony when she was her and her husband were fighting against,
She's a white
hatred and
supremacist.
okay, please let me finish. Please let me finish. When her and her husband were living a life that they believed to be true, their theistic life, and they were out there on the front lines trying to increase discourse and debate about whatever, and then her husband gets killed over that, and then you still call her a phony. Don't you think that that potentially might not be accurate? Now she's kind of the most authentic person ever. How can she still be a phony after her husband gets murdered?
How is she the most authentic person ever? Like, that's a line I want to unpack.
Because her husband was murdered over him pursuing free speech. That's
I don't think that changes anything about her personality. I don't think that changes anything about the fact that she saw this as her opportunity.
Her personality becomes irrelevant. Much like the George Floyd murders. Okay, just a second. Just 1 second. Just much like the. Sorry, just say that last thing and then I'll jump in. What was that?
I think that Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk were both grifters in the vein.
Okay, but now you're starting a new train of thought. I was asking you to say what you said before. Okay.
That's what I said. I said grifter.
Okay. Why would they be grifters? Like they're promoting an ideology that half of the West believes in. That means if you don't like that, shouldn't you just not be in that country? Because like if you hate what they're promoting so much, because that's the problem with extremism, is we're all supposed to be kind of aiming for the same point. But if you're like half the countries of the voting country in America is fascists, you should probably leave away from that.
Are you aware of what the difference in voting was in the last election? Like, are you aware in the United States, like what the difference in the numbers were in the election? Are you aware of it, like legitimately? Because I am.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're asking me. I'm aware of.
What was the difference in the voting?
What do you mean by difference in the voting? Be more specific.
How much percentage points did Donald Trump win by?
Donald Trump had millions more votes than Biden.
It's 1%.
For the first time in 2 decades.
He didn't have more votes than Biden. Biden had 81 million.
So I meant to say Kamala.
The things we're saying in facts, but the great news is that I'm very well read, and
Kamala. It's good that you're well read, as am I. Okay, for the first time in 2 decades, man. Okay, we're having a good faith conversation here. Let's try to remember that. Okay, in the last election, for the first time in decades, the Republicans won the popular vote. What do you mean? What was the difference in voting? It was.
I'm telling you the reality.
Huge swing right now. There's a huge swing in the West towards right wing because of a lot of the left wing craziness going on right now. That's
I want to trans people like humans. I'm a monster.
For the first time, that's just such cherry picking. Like I said, for the first time in decades, we've had an assassination in the West of somebody who really wasn't an extremist, and we have a shift of tens of millions of votes going towards the right.
I put it up yesterday of the things that he said.
Yes, I thought the racism thing. They were all taken out of context.
Such a disservice.
The things he was saying about black pilots was based on his debate against DEI. He is not a racist towards black people.
Black pilots for us. Thank God.
You have to watch the videos in context. These are complicated
in context,
debates.
He's a racist.
He is not, though. That's where you're wrong.
In context, he's a racist. In context, he convinced people like you that his racist ideology wasn't racist. Oh, and by the way, when you espouse it and you repeat it, it's racist. It doesn't change it. Just because it's an uncomfortable term for yourself, it's an uncomfortable place to find yourself. Like,
not
okay, well, you're racist, and you're white
incorrect.
supremacist, you hold white supremacist ideologies, and then you still have the gall to tell me that you're a centrist.
It's not uncomfortable. It's incorrect to say
It's
racist
correct.
or
It's
stuff
correct.
like that. No, it's not.
Okay, well, then why don't you tell me why it's okay to say that a black pilot wouldn't be qualified? Let me know. Go.
I'm here. I'll go. Okay, so number one, you haven't watched enough of Charlie Kirk's stuff if you're going to call him a racist. So to
I'm gonna
answer
call
your
him.
question, okay, good. I'm not telling you what to say. I'm here to try to talk to you so that over time we work towards truth. I'm not calling you anything, and you can double down. You keep doubling down. Good
You
for
called
you.
me a radical. You called me an extremist.
Okay.
And I didn't even back off from it. I didn't even say, no, you can't call me that.
Well,
I'm calling you a white
because
supremacist
you are.
because you espouse white supremacist ideologies. Because it seems like the
I've
only
not
people
done
who
that.
say this kind of stuff and don't like feel hurt by it are
Okay,
white people.
just let me respond to the Charlie Kirk racist thing. Okay, what he was debating was to do with DEI in industry, and he was saying that when people's lives are on the line in a plane, you shouldn't be having people that aren't qualified as pilots. There should be no DEI in that industry. That's what he was debating for, and you seem to put you seem to put like the
So if a black
content
person
ahead
does a
of the
pilot like
whoa. Let me finish my point. So you're seeming to be putting the content of what he's saying ahead of the purpose of what he's saying, because to him these are debate and rhetoric points that lead to a good thing, which is everybody in a plane being safe, just like how we don't want trans people committing suicide. The premise is more important than the content of what is said in terms of rhetoric. That's everything to do with what's happening here. That's the whole point with why in any given debate right now, you're out of context. Like you said, your fans may love you spouting, but the reality is the people that watch full things will watch this and not see such a good thing so far from your
I
side.
have to be honest, I know my followers are going to like it. Like, I know my followers are going to listen to this and they're going to feel the exact same way I'm feeling right now. So I'm not worried about it.
Because you're not
Like,
allowing me
maybe
to
your
speak.
followers are more conservative, so they're going to feel that way, and you feel that way because you're more conservative. But I think that a lot of people are going to be happy with the way that I responded to things.
You haven't
so I'm not
responded
worried
to a
about
single
that. Like, you're
question.
just trying to
My
paint a
one
negative
question of
picture
you
of
was
me that
what?
everyone's going to feel negative about me, and that's just not the reality,
Okay.
right? Like,
My
that's
one
just not the
question.
reality.
Well, let's jump back to the one question that I asked that you haven't answered. I asked you what's an equivalent wrong that somebody that on the right, a right-wing comedian has done that would be equivalent to you mocking, you know,
I don't
an
even listen to
assassination
right-wing
victim's
comedians.
wife a day after she speaks for the first time.
I
Tell me.
I don't even listen to right-wing comedians. I don't even listen to.
Do you understand
right-wing
that creates an
comedians.
echo
So, like,
chamber?
what would I know
Do you
about
realize
right-wing
that
comedians?
is
What they say
not
about me?
that's
I
not
mean,
being a good comedian if you're not listening to all the content? You're creating your own echo chamber for yourself, and you just admitted it.
I love that you just like went on to tell me I'm not a good comedian, as if I haven't had a very, I would say, like, a pretty good career so far. I feel pretty happy with the way my career is going.
No,
Like, that's actually so funny. I think that's
you're a
such a
rage baiter. You're a rage baiter. Everything that you're
I wouldn't
having.
say I'm a rage baiter. I think that you just don't like people on the left. And I think that you probably weren't aware of that until somebody is pointing it out to you, and that somebody happens to be me. I wouldn't say I'm a rage baiter. I think that I'm doing exactly what people on the right are doing.
My parents
and they've
are
been doing it for
lesbians.
decades.
My
We
parents
hear
are
someone like
lesbians.
Laura
My
Loomer
sister.
say that there's going to be 5 million snacks for alligators or whatever she said, and you guys are like, I'm fine with that. But the minute I'm like, hey, kids should have free school lunch, she's a rage baiter, she's the worst. And
I don't know what
like,
you're talking about.
I'm so tired of having to pretend
mocking.
that I need to
Oh
tone
my
myself down.
God, this
You guys
is
don't tone
insufferable.
yourself down. No one on the right is toning themselves down. You guys
Yes,
literally,
they are.
Erica Kirk in her speech after was immediately making it super political and trying to make people hate people like me. So, okay, I'm just supposed to be okay with that. But the minute I give that kind of pushback, no, you're not allowed to do it. Only one side.
You were doing it before she ever did it. What are you talking about? You're saying as if the pot came before the kettle. It didn't. You made fun of her the day after she made her speech. And and I've seen it. She was not trying to make it super political.
Well, here, I have an example for you of something similar, but it wasn't a comedian. Are you ready for this?
Yes, you're supposed to have an example. I asked you for what the example was. Wait a second.
After
We need to take
22
turns.
children got killed in Uvalde in
This
a
is my
school
podcast.
shooting,
Stop
all
right
of the
now.
Congress people
Stop
in the
right
United
now.
States of America
Stop right
wore
now.
AR-15
Stop.
lapel pins, which, by the way, is distasteful.
Stop. This is my show. Stop. Okay?
Oh, I guess you don't like that. I guess you don't like when people point out things that are distasteful on the right. Sure.
In video podcasting, no, I don't like people talking over each other. So to jump back, What you were supposed to do was give me an equivalent example that was equal to what you did that somebody on the right has done.
I just did.
Go ahead and do it now. I was setting the stage and you started babbling
sure.
over top of me. Go ahead
Sure,
and tell
here's
me.
the stage. Here's something on the right that people have done that's just as distasteful, okay? How about when Alex Jones decided that he was going to make Sandy Hook his pet project, and he harassed the parents of the victims of Sandy Hook so badly that they ended up filing a lawsuit against him, which they won for $1.5 billion. But then, of course,
Okay,
Alex
my
Jones,
turn now.
instead of paying out,
That's your example. My turn now. Okay.
instead of paying out,
keep going.
he
Yeah,
hid
sure.
all of his
Just
assets.
keep going.
So how about what he did to those parents at Sandy Hook, that people showed up at their houses and they had to move houses and delist their address? Like,
Okay,
there's an example for you of somebody on the right doing something so egregious, and all I did was make a single video making fun of a girl who you guys like.
You make a bunch of videos.
He ruined the life of parents whose babies were murdered.
You make a bunch of videos. Okay, so let me do my response now, because you said your example about Alex Jones. So unfortunately, from a purely logical standpoint, all you've done is prove my point. I do not support Alex Jones. I believe the extremism on the right is just as bad as extremism on the left. So all you're doing to justify your behavior is referencing a different extremist. You can't be like,
making fun of a girl in a single video is not that extreme. You're trying to make it out to be so much more extreme than it was. And
No,
by the way,
I'm not.
a top Department of Justice official met with Alex Jones yesterday. So if you don't agree with extremism on the right, then why is the Department of Justice making plans with Alex Jones, the person who destroyed the parents of Sandy Hook's lives?
What does that have to do with me? What the hell are you talking about?
Well, I'm just pointing out that this administration is heavily entrenched in deep right-wing
What does that have to do with me telling you that I do not support extremism? And the point I just put forward, which is that you're justifying your extremism with other extremism. That's all I've said, and you're just saying a bunch of nonsense.
Here's a non-extreme example. After Uvalde, where all those children were killed, the Republicans in Congress in the United States all decided to don AR-15 lapel pens, which was the weapon that was used to kill the children in Uvalde. Was government.
So did every one of those government officials make a video mocking the parents of each of the children that were dead in the shooting? Is that what they did? Is that what they did?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
You're mad. You're mad that wearing a lapel pen sends the message that they prefer guns and not children, and that you're suddenly trying to make it seem like me, some no-name comedian who lives in California,
well, now
has
you're
such
a
a
no-name.
huge
I thought
impact.
your career was so good. Now you're a no-name? What happened to your career being so good?
I mean, I have like 45,000 followers, and people do know me, and I have tens of millions of views. But I'm like, I'm small fry. I'm a small fry. I'm not a United States Congressperson. I'm not a Republican senator who is saying openly, "Hey, your kids may have been killed by guns, but I actually support the guns and not the children."
Yes, but stopping school shootings is not solved by banning guns. And also, again, I will just repeat that a person wearing a pin on their jacket when they go to work is not the same as making a video mocking their families. Sorry, I had to speak up there, but it was just because you started speaking again. I just wanted to finish my sentence. Those two things are not equal. Those two things are not equal.
I think you're trying to make that video so much more extreme than it was. And I just want to point out that my favorite part about that video is it would have gotten 40,000 views, and then I never would have showed it again, but probably would have gotten 40,000 views. But then, of course, people on the right pick it up, and you guys made it popular. You Streisand affected it yourself. You made that video go everywhere, so everyone saw it.
Yeah,
and
it's wonderful.
I think there's something so funny about that.
It's so funny, right? It's so funny. That rage baiting works.
Oh, yeah, you're so sad. You're a little sad.
No,
don't be sad.
It's funny that rage baiting works. Rage baiting works, and it's funny to you, right?
I'm sorry, you being so upset about a video that is literally who cares? It was a minute and a half.
About right now is you not letting
the fact that you think that's the same as someone like Alex Jones terrorizing the families of Sandy Hook. The irony of that is not lost on me, and it certainly won't be lost on other people listening to this.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, that's the exact same thing. No, it's not.
You have no ability to understand even the most basic stuff.
wasn't even crying but was pretending to cry, who was using this as an opportunity to make as much money as possible and spread a political message as far as she humanly could.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You're comparing me making a video making fun of a single person who, by the way, I consider to be a white supremacist. I consider him to have been a white supremacist. She was the wife of a famous white supremacist, and you are considering that to be the same as Alex Jones, who literally taunted and ruined the life of people whose babies were killed in Sandy Hook. And I love the idea that you think that's at all the same.
You are going in circles again.
As if someone watched that video of mine and then showed up at Erica Kirk's house because they were stalking. No, that didn't happen.
All right.
It's not even close to the same. And it's such a false dichotomy. It's such a false comparison that I love it. I'm like relishing this moment.
Okay, I'm glad. So what I'll say is I'll bring it back to the 2 points that I've said, which is I did not want this to turn into a screaming back and forth like Pierce Morgan, yet you forced it there. And I don't know why you did that. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry. You weren't involved. Okay. It was just a one-sided conversation. Well, I'm glad that I know that. I'll accept full personal responsibility. I actually don't have a hard time accepting personal responsibility for things and recognize like my part in it. And I think you knew, asking me on with your extreme views, you may say out loud that you are a centrist, but I can certainly tell you after this conversation with you that you espouse views that are fairly right-wing. And I think it's funny because you're centrist in name only. You're centrist in name only.
Okay, so as long as you let me respond after each one.
Before. You, sir, are not one of them.
Okay. So as long as you let me respond after each point that you make, why don't you tell me the list? The thing I'm mad about is us not having a proper discourse. So if you think I'm espousing, like you said, these extremist points, as long as you let me reply after each point you make, what are the extremist right-wing views that I have espoused?
That you think that trans people suffer from a disease that you put in equivalence to cancer.
Okay. But do you remember that? Remember, this is on video. Do you remember that I said, hey, this is what a right-wing person might say? And then I simply presented the arguments to you and you started spazzing out and calling everything hateful. And
we know that you presented it as if those weren't your own ideas, but you later dropped that facade. Like you later dropped
When did I drop that facade? When did I drop that facade? When did I drop that facade? Tell me
it's
when.
On video. We already know. I think it's so funny. I mean, so I don't know what you want me to say. I think this is like a funny conversation. And I think it's funny that you compared me to somebody as extreme as Alex Jones.
You compared yourself to Alex Jones. You compared yourself.
Video making fun of someone. You think that's the same as terrorizing the parents?
Here comes the circles again. Here comes the circle.
It's not circle. I'm laughing.
You're speaking in circles.
I'm not.
Compared
You're
yourself.
saying that as a way of diminishing what I'm saying. You're saying that to try and make what I'm saying a moot point. And it's funny because it's just not true.
What am I saying to try to make your point a moot point? What?
Because you keep trying to diminish like my arguments by saying they're circular or out of line. And I think that's like a funny tactic. Never once have I
said any of your arguments are out of line.
Weren't heard. I'm not like,
you are going in circles and not letting anybody else speak.
You need to calm down. You're speaking too emotionally. Like, I don't do that kind of thing to you, and you should.
I didn't do that either. You're speaking in circles and not letting anybody else talk.
That's not what speaking in circles is.
We'll jump back to the most important point, which was you just said, I compared you to Alex Jones. You did that yourself.
No,
do you remember?
You said that.
You did. I asked you to create an example that's similar to what you did in your video. Then you compared yourself to Alex Jones.
You asked me to give you an example of a right-wing person who's extreme.
And you came up with Alex Jones.
And I gave you an example.
And it was Alex Jones.
People on the left, because Sandy Hook wasn't political.
I think there was a little oopsie there from you and you're realizing it. That's all this is.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, just a little oopsie there, hey?
Oh, yeah, sure. No. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell me more?
I feel very comfortable with what I said here.
So why don't you tell me more about how Charlie was a white supremacist?
Sure, you need to, why do I have to tell you why Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist? You can just listen to it from the words of Charlie Kirk himself.
I've listened to hundreds of hours of Charlie Kirk, and I'm confident he is not. So why don't you convince it?
And it shows. You've listened to hundreds of hours of Charlie Kirk, and boy, does it show.
I've listened to hundreds of hours of lots of things. Anybody who knows me... Hey, hold on. Stop. Yes, I've listened to hundreds of hours of Charlie Kirk, but anybody who knows me and knows what I do is a lot of research. I've listened to hundreds of hours of everything, not just one side like you do. Okay?
So what do you listen to on the left?
Oh, countless podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you read all the books.
I don't like to read. I think it takes too much time. I prefer auditory. I listen to
What
podcasts.
podcast on the left?
Well, for example, I listen to Bad Friends, which is a heavily left-wing podcast. I listen to a lot of Bert Kreischer, who is a left-wing person. I listen to all of Andrew Santino, who's a left-wing person. I listen to all the stand-up of all
What
of
left-wing political podcasts are we talking about? Because a lot of these, it just sounds like comedians, right? A lot of them, you're just naming comedians, which are, can be pretty secular, like pretty non-political. So you're not listening to podcasts on the left in the way that you said. Interesting. You're listening to people who might be on the left who have a podcast, but you're not listening to a political podcast based in.
Well, what you're saying, what you're describing me correctly. So what I do is when I do research into all of these topics, I believe in a logical, proper discourse that is still entertaining. And the comedians that do it, who are able to talk about both sides, but still kind of be on one side, is who I listen to. I don't listen to extremists. I listen to people who are in the middle and present ideas from both sides. Okay, we're not having a discussion here anymore. You're just focused on your computer, and that's not what we're here to do today.
Something, and I wanted to be able to quote it accurately.
That's not what we're here to do today.
I'm not focusing on the computer to take away from you. I want to be able to accurately say what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's what my point though is. You're not in a discussion here. You're just focused on your computer. Okay, let me just look at what we got for a few final things to finish off here. I asked you to give me reasons as to why Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist. So
sure.
You can either do that. So that's one thing I want. And then the other one would be, so let's say the George Floyd thing, for example, because number one, there hasn't been an assassination like the one on Charlie Kirk in decades. But if you were to try to find, if you were to try to find an assassination, perpetrated by the left, let's say, you could think of certain examples.
What about the assassination?
George Floyd. Hey, hold on. Whoa, just a second.
Representative Hoffman from Minnesota. Was that a political assassination?
That was done by a left-wing person. Do your research. Yes, it was.
MAGA churchgoer.
It was a left-wing person who killed that person in Minnesota. Yes, it was. They were mad over, not full stop. They were mad over her policy.
Because everyone who knew him came out and said that he was right-wing. This is why I don't like having conversations with the MAGA, is because I'm telling you the reality and you're like,
what did Hoffman do? What do you believe Hoffman did to get assassinated?
Be a Democrat. Every person on his hit list was a Democrat.
Nope. She did a very specific thing. So let's look it up. What did Melissa Hoffman do to get assassinated? And you will see that right before she was killed, there was a vote in Congress to take health care away from trans people in Minnesota. For that, she was the one Democrat who voted to sway the vote so that that health care was taken away from those people. And then a left-wing person killed her. Okay? That's what got Melissa Hoffman.
Was a conservative who was strongly against abortion rights, a longtime friend told CNN, but he never mentioned any particular anger with the lawmakers who were shot. He was a right-wing MAGA.
They said the same thing about the killer of Charlie Kirk. Do you understand that these people who are killing them for left-wing ideology? It doesn't matter what you classify them as. If you're killing a lady because she took healthcare away from trans people, that's a left-wing assassination.
It's not what happened. It's not what happened.
It is what happened.
What happened is he had a hit list of a bunch of Democrats. He's been arrested. He's in jail right now. He's been arrested. We know, you can watch his videos online of him doing crazy Christian stuff online. It's so obvious that your entire premise is a lie. And so much so that I won't even touch this.
What am I lying about?
Having a conversation that isn't based in reality and instead based on your rhetoric is
You weren't even aware of what got Melissa Hoffman killed. And you want to say that
not what got Melissa Hoffman killed, because she wasn't even the only person who was targeted, was she?
She was killed because of a vote she made in government. And it was to take rights away from people on the left.
Here's something he said himself. Bolter, in a speech he gave at church, said there's people, especially in America, that don't know what sex they are. They don't know their sexual orientation. They're confused. The enemy has gotten so far into their mind and their soul. That's from the shooter's mouth himself. That is what he said. And you're going to sit there and tell me that he's left-wing? You're going to sit there and tell me he's left-wing and that he was pro-trans? Except for the reality belies the truth, doesn't it?
He killed Melissa Hoffman because of a vote she made in Congress to take away health care from the left.
He hates trans people,
Just-
and you're trying to
just
make an
like
argument
Tyler
that
Robinson.
he was a leftist.
Just like Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk.
Oh my
because
God.
of his
Like,
trans
I seriously, I have
boyfriend.
to tell you at this point, just go ahead and wrap up the show, because trying to talk to you in reality is a huge waste of my time. I just told you something from his own mouth, and you're like, nope, I'm going to continue to say otherwise. And if you want to know why people like me don't spend a lot of time hanging out with people on the right, this is exactly why. Because I can tell you the things from his own mouth. I can show you the video of him saying it, and you will still deny reality. He killed, there was a political assassination on the left, and you didn't even remember it. You didn't even remember it. And her dog got killed execution style, okay? Her golden retriever got killed execution style along with her and her husband, and you forgot that it happened. Why? Because you only cared about Charlie Kirk.
You're making stuff up.
And then I tell you that he's a right-wing person. All of his friends say he's right-wing. I can show you the interviews with his friends saying that he was a MAGA, and you're going to be like, nope, he wasn't.
You can keep going in circles if you want, but the most compelling...
That's not a circle.
Yes, it is.
That is
okay,
the
my
argument.
turn now.
You've
been talking for the last 3 minutes. It's my turn now.
I don't have time for people on the right. This is why. Because no matter what the reality is, when it doesn't suit your viewpoint, you just
trying to run away, so why don't you do it?
I'm not trying to run away. We've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes.
Run away. Let me talk or run away.
What are you going to talk about? Lies? You're going to sit there and say things that aren't true again and then act like it's truth? Well, I hope that you keep this part into your editing so that people can understand that you literally are lying.
Everything's going to be left in because the long form style of this conversation is what condemns you. And you don't understand that.
Condemns me.
Yes.
I think that's so funny. Yeah, go ahead and condemn me.
Yeah.
Condemn me to fame, bitch.
Okay, so for example.
But also not.
Okay, so for example, what I am saying, and that you're refusing to listen to, is that the reason that Charlie Kirk was killed was because the killer was mad about his hatred towards trans people. And he had a trans boyfriend, and that's why he did it. Even though he's got a right-wing family, and it could be easily shown on paper, he might probably be right-wing. He is not. He did the kill because of what he deemed to be left-wing hatred. A lot of like what you're saying, when it isn't that. It's just legislation that they're trying to move things in this direction or the other. And then we have Melissa Hoffman, who did the same thing. She did a vote that the left wing didn't like. I wouldn't let you
talk about Melissa Hoffman because you are lying about the reality of why she was killed. You're lying about her killer. You are lying. You're lying. And there's nothing else to say to you about that. You're lying. And you didn't even remember her. You didn't even remember her. You didn't remember that she had been a victim.
That's not true.
You guys ignored the fact that a Democrat was murdered in her house and another Democrat was shot. And another Democrat and his wife were shot by a right-wing freakazoid.
Okay, let's do this. Well, let's move on from this, but let's do this because, like I said, you can go in circles insulting me or whatever. But again, the people stop. Let me finish. I'm trying to wrap this up. Please let me finish. Okay, so you can do that, but again, at the end of the day, the people that watch will just look at the different arguments, the things you said with, oh, here's him making a quote, and the things that I said about, hey, this is what Melissa did to get her killed. Here it is. And the people that watch can decide for themselves. That's the point of a discussion like this. The only thing that will make stuff like this not get heard is by you babbling and talking over it so we can't have a proper discussion. You're hurting the quality of the podcast.
Like, I hope that you understand that you are insulting. You are insulting to my intelligence. You're insulting to the listener.
And all I'm doing is saying that you're babbling, and now you're saying I'm insulting you because you're purposely ruining a podcast?
No, I didn't say you were insulting me. I said you are insulting.
Okay, gotcha. So that's fine. So let's move on from that. Okay. So you've been making videos for a while, rage baiting people and doing extremist stuff.
I'm not a rage baiter.
Why don't you tell me more about what specifically makes you think Charlie Kirk is a white supremacist?
Besides the things he said?
Yeah, yes. Tell me what you think he's said that makes him a white supremacist. Do you understand that he promotes the idea of e pluribus unum? Jake, hold on. Have you seen the quote where he goes, literally the thing on the crest of America, e pluribus unum? He promotes it and he says, from many comes one. He believes that the diversity of America and the allowing all things is what makes us the strong. What makes America? I'm Canadian, by the way. What makes America the strongest is from that principle. How could that possibly be a white supremacist argument?
I think a lot of white supremacists use nationalism as a way of, as a way of consolidating their power and their message. So I think that's like, that already right there is like a weird premise for an argument. I would argue that saying somebody like Simone Biles being weak is a white supremacist thing to say. I would also argue that saying that you're scared getting on a plane if you see a black pilot and that you prefer getting on a plane where the pilot's name is Chad, that's pretty racist to say.
No, it's not, because being a
say.
pilot is hard, and that's why there's not as many black ones, and that's all he was saying. So what he wants is people on planes to
when
be
a black
safe.
person gets their pilot license, if you see them fly the plane, they must not know how to fly, right? That's what Charlie Kirk said.
That's not what Charlie Kirk said.
It's what he said.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I know it's hard when we use people's actual words to define them. I know. What's the context there? The context is that he said that if he had a black pilot on his plane, that he would think that he didn't deserve to have that job. The context is that on multiple occasions, Charlie Kirk denigrated smart black people, especially smart black women. He said that Ketanji Brown Jackson wasn't qualified for her position despite her illustrious resume. He had called Michelle Obama stupid, as if she didn't go to fucking law school. Like, all of these things are based in racism, and your denial of it doesn't change the reality of it, okay? You will continue to deny that these things have a racial overtone, that these things are based in white supremacy, but I promise you, the last person who I'm ever going to consult on whether something is racist or not is a white guy, you know? Like, that's the last person who I'm gonna ask, hey, does that seem racist? Because no, you're never gonna say it is.
Okay, you done?
I'm sorry, like, you being mad instead of like cool, calm, and collected is hilarious. I'm like love it.
Here, cool,
I can't even wait.
You're the one
for
who's
my
mad.
followers to see this, because they're just gonna be like, what?
Yes, sure. Yeah, you have an excited extremist, fan base. Good for that.
Oh yeah, I know. We're really terrible. We want kids to have health care. I want people
back
to be able
that,
to afford
sure.
houses.
After you go calling people white supremacists. Yeah, sure. Let's dial it back.
I will
all I want is kids to have health care. Oh, innocent old me. I just want kids to have health care. But that guy's an evil white supremacist. Oh, no, I didn't say that.
If you don't see these things as racially charged and as white supremacy, then the failure is on your part for not recognizing it.
For the failures on my part, how?
For not recognizing what white supremacy is. That's the failure on your side.
I have seen way too many hours of Charlie Kirk championing black people for me to think that he is a white supremacist. It's clear and in front of my face. And anyone else who watches anything, like, you're so wrong about that. And that's why I let you do this. That's why I let you go in circles, because a lot of times with extremist left-wing people, like what happened with Heather, all you've got to do is let them talk, and they do it to themselves. That's why I try to let you have a discourse, so we can do it in any way, shape, or form, so we can debate. But you won't let it happen. You won't.
Oh yeah, the debate is, hey, here are some things that Charlie Kirk said that are overtly racist, and then here's your response. No, they're not.
That's not my response.
That is your response. That's not racial. That's fine. It's totally fine to be scared of black pilots. That's a normal thing, Chelsea.
No, he's not afraid of black pilots. He's afraid of unqualified pilots.
Oh, how did they get their pilot's license?
If they have their pilot's license, they're a pilot. What are you talking about? He's afraid of promoting DEI. He's afraid of promoting DEI. He's afraid of promoting DEI in industries that put people's lives at risk. That's what the rhetoric is for. That's what the debate is for. And you've taken
is there some data out there that shows that most plane crashes are by black pilots or by people?
But there is data that shows that there is a very small percentage of black
that's weird.
pilots.
It's almost like that's a racial stereotype. There we
go.
No,
it is a reality of education. There is less of them. That is why DEI should not be promoted in that area, because then you're going to have unqualified people flying planes.
Oh, but you just told me that if they have a pilot's license, they're qualified.
Yes, a black person can fly a plane.
Then we're just good. We're good. That's it. That's the only answer, is that if they have a pilot's license, they're qualified regardless of
to be a pilot, you have to pass a test. If you don't, if you get the job because the people who did better than you on the test don't get it, because they're white and you're black and they need some black pilots, that's not a good thing. We should be having the best
that isn't like the reality of what's happening.
We should be having
that's not a reality. That's a pretend made up scare tactic by right-wing white supremacists. So
we should be having the best pilots fly the planes, period. We should be having the most qualified, physically healthy people being firefighters. We should be having the best teachers being teachers, not just ones who are over here and they're teaching something different. We should be following the curriculum. That's how this stuff is, and that's what the biggest disagreement is between the left and the right now. And again, the level of discourse here is the biggest thing I want to draw attention to today, because this is the biggest problem, and it's what we're seeing here today. Okay? That's why this conversation
I promise
is important.
you that what you're seeing here today is that I don't respect somebody who won't call Charlie Kirk a racist. And yeah, I don't respect you, and I don't feel bad for it, and I'm unapologetic about it.
Cool.
Because your
Double
white
down.
privilege is
Triple
so
down.
evident. Your inability of accepting that the things Charlie Kirk said were racially hurtful and harmful, and also hurtful to the political discourse in the country. And the fact that you're unwilling to admit that, yeah, of course I don't respect you. Like, that is the discourse here.
No,
I don't
you
have
put
respect for
forward
people
no
who are
arguments, and then you start
even though
swinging
you label yourself
insults.
as a centrist, you opening your mouth has reminded every person here that that is a centrist in name only. You are a centrist in name only.
Okay.
Like, the ideologies that you have espoused over the last hour and 20 minutes are so clearly right-wing in nature, and honestly quite extreme right-wing in nature, because there are people on the right who will listen to Charlie Kirk and go, oh, that dude's racist. But not you. Not you. Because when I point out things that he says that are racist, you're like, nah.
You
And
didn't
no
point
argument
out
otherwise.
anything that he said was
You
racist.
made up a pretend scenario that we have to be concerned about how people's lives aren't safe. Well, people's lives are
That's
safe.
not a
with
pretend
the pilots that
scenario.
we have, and black pilots are safe pilots.
I didn't make up a pretend scenario. I don't know what to tell you.
Did.
No,
Hypotheticals are a
planes need
favorite
to be
of people
flown
on the
by the
right.
best pilots.
You have to exist in a pretend world in order for your points to make sense.
It's funny that you say that, because that's what I don't say this particular argument, but that argument does get said a lot about people on the left. It's funny how you're echoing it back to me and then putting it on me. Like, what's the point of that?
But I mean, our conversation here would show that you used hypotheticals on a number of occasions, so I feel comfortable with that.
What hypothetical?
Well, the hypothetical that we have to be concerned about black pilots having DEI because we have to worry about safety. Like, that's just not real. It's racial.
DEI is real. The push for DEI.
This kind of discourse is harmful. And Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist, and I feel very confident and comfortable saying that out loud. And I appreciate you giving me a platform to say it out loud, because I would scream it from the rooftops.
That's wonderful. But remember, this platform here today is not to let you scream your extremism from the rooftops. It's to make you look like an idiot.
I know. I'm so extreme. I want billionaires to pay taxes. I think billionaires should pay taxes and not be able to write off the cost of their private plane. I am extreme.
Yes. Because again, that's another fringe argument that is not relevant to what we're talking about.
I'm just awful.
You are.
People not having to declare bankruptcy when they get cancer. I want people to declare bankruptcy when they have cancer. Who doesn't want that? Yeah.
Okay, well, this went the way I expected. I don't think there's anything else to say here.
Sure.
Shame on you for mocking widows. Shame on you for, espousing things that you don't research. And
you're right. I've never read a book in my life. I'm very uneducated. I have no education. I don't even know how to read. I can't even say the word acetaminophen.
You're gonna fail, and I'm here to watch it happen.
All right.
And
watch me fail.
Watch me
skyrocket to failure. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, keep taking your SSRIs. Keep fucking failing at everything.
I don't suffer from any mental health conditions.
Well, you're headed there. I promise you that.
I'm headed
you keep
there.
Thinking like that, you're spiraling in circles. Most people who talk like this would take SSRIs, but you refuse to take them. That's why you spiral in circles and don't see the problem with your own discourse.
You're a sad guy.
That's why you go crazy rage baiting on social media. Shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Have a good day. Good luck with your stuff.
Bye-bye.